It was 3:12 a.m. when the boy was awoken by the soft sound of whimpering. It sounded like it was coming from downstairs. So the boy got out of bed and walked towards the stairs. As the boy started going downstairs, he could hear a faint whisper that seemed to be coming from his little sister's room. "There's someone in my room," she whispered. It sounded scared. He continued walking. He found his sister's door slightly open, pushed it open with his foot and went inside. The room was completely dark. The only light came from the street lamps that were shining through the window, outlining the shapes of the furniture in the room, but everything in the middle of the room was dark. His sister was laying curled up in her bed, but she had her eyes wide open. She was shivering. The blanket was pulled up to her chin. The boy walked over to the bed and crouched down next to it. "Hey, what's wrong?" he whispered. His sister didn't say anything. Her eyes remained fixed on some point in front of her. "There's someone in my room," she whispered again, her voice trembling. The boy thought for a moment. Maybe one of the house's many spiders had crawled onto her bed, and she was too scared to get rid of it herself. But when he looked under the bed, there was no spider in sight. "Don't worry, it's just your imagination," the boy said reassuringly. He sat there for a few moments, trying to get his sister to look at him, but she just kept staring straight ahead. Then he decided to go back to bed. Maybe she would just fall asleep, and the problem would solve itself. But after a few minutes, he was woken up again. He got out of bed and went back to his sister's room. This time she was sitting up in bed, hugging her blanket close to her body. She looked scared. As soon as she saw her brother, she started whispering again. "There's someone in my room," she said. He tried to keep calm and reason with her. "Look, there's nothing here. You're just dreaming. Come on, let's go back to bed." He helped her lay back down and tucked her in. She shook her head. "No, there's really someone here. Please don't leave me." She was starting to cry. He felt sorry for her. Maybe being in bed with her would make her feel safer. So he climbed into bed with her. As soon as he did, she grabbed onto him and wouldn't let go. She kept saying, "There's someone in my room. There's someone in my room." The boy was starting to get scared now. What if there really was someone in the room? What if she was right? He started listening carefully. Then he heard a noise. It sounded like someone was crawling on the floor right underneath the bed. He quickly started to look around the room in the dark, trying to see if he could find anything or anyone. All he saw was his sister clinging on to him, burying her face into his shoulder. Then he heard the noise again. Someone was definitely in the room. He told his sister to stay still while he got out of bed. He had to check if they were alone in the room. He made sure to keep quiet so his sister wouldn't wake up. When he opened the door to get out of the room, he turned on the lights in the hallway. Then he closed the door behind him and leaned against it. Now that the hall was brightly lit, he could search for whatever was making the noise. But there was nothing there. The boy searched everywhere, even under the beds in the other rooms, but he couldn't find anyone. There was no one in the hallway or anywhere else. It must have been his imagination, he thought. No one was in the house except him and his sister. So he went back to his sister's room and opened the door. He told her everything was okay, but she just kept crying and mumbling about how there was someone in the room. The boy didn't know what to do. He wanted to help his sister, but he was scared himself. He went back to his room, got a baseball bat from the corner, then went back to his sister's room. He hid the baseball bat behind his back and asked her if she wanted him to get out of bed. She looked at him and nodded. He took a deep breath and got out of bed. Then he turned on the light. He had to check if they were alone in the room before he left. What if the thing that was making the noise came back while he was gone? But when he looked around, there was no one there. The boy felt stupid. He had been scared for nothing. He was about to leave the room when he heard the noise again. This time it sounded like someone was moving the blanket on the bed. He quickly turned around and looked at his sister. She wasn't in bed anymore. Where could she have gone? He looked around the room again, but there was still no one there. He called her name softly, but she didn't answer. And he heard the noise again. This time it was coming from the closet. He approached the closet slowly, keeping an eye on the door in case whatever was in the closet came out. He opened the closet door and looked inside. The closet was empty. He looked around again, but there was still no sign of his sister. Where could she have possibly gone? The boy called for her again. But this time he added, "It's me. I'm here to help you." He hoped she would come out and stop hiding, but he waited and waited and no one came out. He was about to call for her again when he saw something. There was a big rip in the closet wall, and it looked like something had been dragged out of it. He walked over and put his hand into the hole. It was cold. The boy looked around to see if anyone was watching him. When he was sure no one was looking, he pulled something out of the hole. It was a blanket, the same blanket he had seen on top of his sister's bed earlier. Was she in there all along? The boy took the blanket with him as he walked back to his sister's bed. He placed the blanket on the bed and looked around again. Still no one. He walked over to the other side of the bed and knelt down next to it. Slowly, he lifted the blanket up. Underneath, he saw his sister. She was crying. "There's someone in my bed," she whispered. The boy looked up slowly. The girl in the bed was smiling now.